Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I am here today to talk about books, which I usually do in all of my videos, but this is not about the books that I read, but the books that I write. And it's not just the books that I write, it's about my writing journey in general. I don't think I've ever spoken about my writing journey. I spoke about my short story collection, which was coming last year in a coffee talk video. I think that was the very first coffee talk. And other than that, I haven't spoken much about what I write. So I thought, why not make a video about it, talking about my writing journey, what I've written so far, and what I have planned. Because I had a lot of plans for 2021, although it doesn't look like all of them are going to come true, but I'm hoping that sometime, and I'm not pressuring myself when I say this, sometime in the next couple of years I get to publish these collections. So as a writer, I feel like inspiration is hard to come by for me these days, and I'm not finding it in myself to move forward. But there's also this other thing where I'm super busy with everything else, and I'm just not finding the time to open that manuscript. I'm not finding the courage either to open that manuscript, read through it again, and work on it. Before we get on with this video and before I share my writing journey with you, I just want to say that if you'd like to buy any of the books that I'm mentioning in this video, any of my books, then I leave the links in the description box below, so you can go check them out if you'd like to. If you decide to go check them out, a big thank you. So now on to my writing journey. My writing journey started because of my reading journey, and that is something that I always say. If you want to write, you have got to read. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, and to each their own, I suppose, but it's my personal opinion that I write because I read, and that is something that I will take with me to the very end. I will stand by it. That reading journey started because of my dad. He got me into reading. He used to get me books from the whatever library was open at the time, and he introduced me to some authors. He got me to read. He used to make me speak in English at home, and that's how I got okay at English, I think I could say that. And when I was in school, there was a library, and that was the period that I used to be super excited about, because we could pick books and we could take them home for 1 week, and then the next week you could return and take another book and all of that. And that's another matter, that the book that I used to borrow from the library, I used to finish it in like an hour or so. As I continued to read, as a kid, it was just reading whatever books were available over there. Like, I read Around the World in 80 Days, I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and a ton of Goosebumps as well. And these were something that put into my mind the thought that what if I tried to write something that made sense? What if I put together words, and what if I could make sense like these authors were making? I mean, I'm nowhere near Jules Verne, but it just put that worm in my head. And when I was in, I think, 7th standard, when I was 10 or 11, I started writing poems. Poems at the time meant to me that they had to rhyme. It either had to be consecutive lines that had to rhyme, or alternate lines, and I did that. And I still have those poems, which I'm not going to read out because no, those were obviously very childish, but at the time it felt like a big deal. But I continued to write poems. I didn't move into writing prose and fiction, but I did continue to write. I used to write my thoughts and my essays. I maintained a journal, and I used to narrate everything that happened. And even if I look at those diaries by mistake now, I feel like I did spin an okay story. Like, it was enough to transport me back into those times, and I feel pretty okay that I used to be able to write like that as a kid. I don't know what happened now. I continue to write poems for a long time. They've evolved. They've become deeper, they've become darker, you could say, because yeah, things and life happens. I was about to graduate in 2010, and it was during that time that I thought, let me try this. Let me try writing a story. And I wrote a story. And that was it. I wrote a story and I left it like that. It was 89 pages of a Microsoft Word document in big font. I think it was 14 or 16. I think it was big. And I just left it at that. I completely forgot about it. And then I started working. And 4 years, I did not pay any attention to any sort of writing. I used to write poems. I used to write blog posts. I had a blog on Blogger before I have this current one, which is the melodramaticbookworm.com. But I didn't do any prose writing or any other sort of writing. I didn't think of it like I need to do this in order to, help myself or something. And in 2013, almost 4 years after I pushed that manuscript into an obscure folder, and I had the very small inkling, okay, ki I'm not happy over here. But I didn't pay it much heed, so I thought I need to do something on the side in order to keep my sanity. So I thought, why not write? And I was also unwell at the time, so I took a month off. And during that 1 month, what I did was I brought that manuscript out of that obscure folder and I started working on it, because I was hoping that if I were to make it into something presentable, maybe I could get it published. And I worked on that for a month. It was a long ongoing process, okay? And even in 2014, during the whole time, I wasn't really happy with how it was. Maybe it was also because of how unhappy I was at work, but it just did not happen. And then in 2015, I was like, I'm going to go on this crazy trip to the United States of America, and nothing else was on my mind at that time. I went in June, and for 40 days I was in America, and I realized during that time I had a lot of time to think, and I realized that IT wasn't for me. What happened? Eventually, as a result of this, when I came back, it was just a few weeks later, I put in my papers. And in September 2015, I left. And since then, it's been like freelance, and writing. And it's this whole journey that's been on. And then in 2015 itself, I worked for 2 months on that manuscript. Like, I put in my all into that, and I brought it into a shape that I wanted. See, when I look back on it now, I'm not really happy with how it is, because it's a pretty basic story. The book is called Of Nights and Lilies. I think that, as a writer, in hindsight, you always think that, ew, but at the time, I thought it was pretty okay, and that I wanted to push it forward, and especially since it was my first novel, and I got it published, and it's still available out there for you to read if you'd like to, although I would always recommend my 2 short story collections over that novel. But yes, so that happened in December 2015. My first novel was published. It's called Of Nights and Lilies, as I've mentioned it, and you have it here. My short story writing was also in full flow. I used to write ideas, and I used to write short stories around them, and I used to be very passionate about it. At the beginning of 2016, I had started writing my second novel, and I got through 10,000 words of it. And then, since that year was such a, so eventful and such a huge blur for me, that I just put it aside like that. And then in 2017, I published my first short story collection. My second book, my first short story collection. It's called 5 of Hearts, and it has 5 short stories which talk about emotions and everything that you feel and all of that. My short story writing was on in full flow. I used to write down ideas, and I used to just try to weave stories around them, and I used to be pretty happy with them at the time, but it took me quite some editing to get it to that point and to push it out into the world. And now in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that could have done with more editing, more structuring and all of that, but let's not go there because that's always going to happen. And after Five of Hearts, everything writing took a pause. Even poems, I haven't written one in a long time. Only very recently I written a poem which I narrated for my channel members, and it's been very hectic these past few years. 2017, it was like I started doing more work on my manuscript, and throughout the time, I don't even remember when we got there, but throughout time I thought we came to a point where I'm now at 56,000 words of my second novel, and it's very, very ambitious because I didn't see this pandemic coming. Who saw this pandemic coming? And the topic of that is travel and self-discovery. And in this time, I feel like maybe I should not be doing it. But that was there. I used to get bursts of energy from time to time, and I used to write like 1,000 words, 2,000 words, 3,000, 5,000 sometimes, and then it used to just go back there. But that was what happened to my second novel. That manuscript, it's still sitting there. I haven't touched it in a long time. And then in 2020, I realized that I had a lot of short stories pending. So I thought, why not release another short story collection? And this time I released No Net, which has 9 short stories ranging in the topics that they talk about. And I am pretty proud of No Net. I mean, yes, a couple of stories I feel like it could have been simplified quite a bit. Hindsight, shut up hindsight right now, please. No Net released on June 15th last year, and I'm pretty proud of that collection, and I feel like I've come a long way, but there's also a long way to go. I need to learn a lot of things about writing as well, and that has been what I have published so far. I have Off Nights and Lilies, which was my first novel, Five of Hearts, which was my first short story collection, No Net, which was my second short story collection. My second novel is in the works, and I have a bunch of poems that I've written, and there's also a travelogue that I started, but it's only like 2,000 words in or something, and I really want to work on that because there's so much that I want to say, so many lessons that I want to make. And now I want to talk to you about my writing plans. I mean, writing plans are always these fuzzy, nebulous things which you think you will be able to stick to them, but it does not always happen. Something else comes up. The writing, the manuscript itself will throw so many other curveballs at you. You get distracted by books, by your phone, by reels, by 10,000 different things in the world. And sometimes you just need that break from everything that's going on. And I feel like I have taken on so much in these past few years that writing, even though I love doing it so much, is not another thing that I can do right now. But I really want to, because that's a part of me that I never want to give up. So because of that, I made some plans. The first one was I wanted to finish my manuscript this year, which I don't think is going to happen. And then I have the travelogue. That's going to take a while as well. I mean, I have my diaries from that time to help me along, but still, it's the structuring and everything, it's going to take a long time. So that's also in the plan, but it's not immediate. Like, I know I won't be able to finish it this year. And then I have my poetry. Like, it's not the best. I don't know, I feel like my poetry is something that's very personal to me, and that it holds a lot of my own experiences, my own pain, whatever I was feeling in one particular moment. I used to pour that into the poetry, so it's very personal to me. But there are some that I get choked up even even now when I'm reading them, not because I find them so beautiful, but because I remember the experiences that brought me to the point where I wrote those. So a collection of poetry is something that I do want to publish. It might happen this year because the poems are ready. I have them, I have the collection waiting, but I only have to sift through them and decide and do all the thing. And even if I publish them, it will be on Kindle. As we know, traditional publishers, they don't reply for a long time. Traditional publishing is a headache. In addition to these, I also have a couple of more story ideas, and I don't know if I will be able to implement them. Like a couple of short stories, I know what I want to write, but I don't know how I will go about writing them. But there's also another idea for a novel that I have, but I don't want to focus on it before I finish through this, because it's going to be a whole lot of a mishmash after that. So those were my writing plans for fiction, poetry, publishing, and short stories and all of that. But writing is not just fiction or poetry or short stories. There was also one non-fiction that I wrote, which I have unpublished now because I thought that needed a lot more work given the wisdom that I have gained with time. So it's not there at the moment, but it used to be there. That was actually the first book that I published. And like I said, writing is not just that. It's not just about books or poetry or short stories. It's also about what you do on the internet. Maybe you have a blog like I have, the melodramaticbookworm.com. It never used to be the melodramaticbookworm.com. There was a lot of changes happened. It used to be reviewlounge.wordpress.com, and then I rebranded myself in around 2017, 2018, and I came up with the Melodramatic Bookworm. So I write on my blog as well. It's mostly updates these days about what I'm reading and of all that, and I'm very erratic with my writing. I'm not I don't do it often, but I really want to. Trust me, I really want to go back to book blogging because I started off from there. I started off being on social media from there, and to not give it the importance that it deserves is killing me. But I will get there soon because now I need to revamp it as well. So that is also part of my writing journey as well as my writing plans. I need to bring back my blog, I need to revamp it, and I need to round it off. So yes, that has been my writing journey so far, right from childhood. Oh god, what have I done? But I intend to write a lot. So along with my writing journey, I also told you about my writing plans and what I intend to do with those things that I have written and I will be writing. So what did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Will you go and get any of my books? If you'd like to check my writing out, then the links to my books will be in the description box below. Also, the link to my blog will be in the description box below if you'd like to go check it out. And let me know what you think, and let me know if you are a writer as well. What do you write? Where do you write? And what genre do you write in? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.